Stephanie Bain. I have a books. I'm a book nerd. There's so many books. Hello everyone, Stephanie here. Today's video is a no spoiler review on the Summoner series. I forgot I left these here. This is like my third time trying to film this. I keep fucking up. I have The Novice, The Inquisition, and the last book that was just released earlier this month, and that is Battle Mage, which is like a trilogy, but it's gonna have like a little continuation, which I'm super excited about that. Anyway, these books were sent to me for free in exchange for an honest review. You guys know I always give you honest reviews, so, you know, just throwing that out there. I'm so excited. So let's put these back where I had them, because it's $3. I'm not carrying $3. Now, what this series is about is a world Corsolam. Well, that's like the kingdom Corsolam, and to the north of Corsolam you have the elves. To the south of the Corsolam, whom they are in war with, are orcs. So you have humans fighting against orcs. You have dwarves that live amongst the humans, but they're like oppressed, and it's just very sad for them and not very well. And close to the elven border, which is where it takes place in the beginning of the book, is Pelt. And it's a very, very small town north, of course, next to the elven border. And there is a boy named Fletcher who, and you find this out very soon, so it's not like a spoiler. It literally says it on the front of the book, just throwing that out there. He finds out he can summon demons. He is a summoner. And the thing is, the summoners summon demons, but they're like linked to them. So that's kind of like where the correlation between like Pokemon, when people describe this book sometimes, they can fight with their demons, and it's freaking amazing. So after Fletcher finds that out, he ends up going to an academy for summoners, and that's all I'm going to tell you, because I really do not want to spoil anything. I gave all 3 books 5 out of 5 stars. I had no issues. Like, there was not one thing throughout this that I was like, oh my god, I wish that hadn't happened. I adored these freaking books. They tell such a beautiful story. Just in the first book, within the first like 50 pages, things happen that got me so emotional. The relationships in this series is what really, I think, was like above and beyond my favorite thing. The relationships between friends, the relationships between the summoner and the demon, and it was just so beautiful to see what these people, like, just how much they like care for each other. Even the relationships tore me apart. I thought the dialogues between them, and when things were happening and they had to be there for one another, it was beautiful. And I swear I cried like a baby in the last book especially. I was just like, my emotions were definitely forefront of my mind the entire time. Like, I love the relationships. I love the writing. I love the world and the descriptions. Actually, I wish it had maps. I feel like we need maps for this. Even though I can kind of like imagine how everything's like laid out. You guys already know how I feel about maps. I think everything should have a map. I don't care if you're contemporary or not. This would have definitely benefited from having a map, especially when they go into the ether, which is where the demons come from. That's where the demons lie, until they're like summoned and then, you know, attached to a summoner. That would have also been very, very helpful. But this is just, and not necessarily like super fast paced or anything. It's a perfect pacing of adventure, of loyalty, of friendship, of betrayal, and just mystery, because there's so many things going on, but it never ever feels like it's too much at all, ever. It's perfectly laid out for you. In the beginning, there is a lot of like some dumping here and there, because you're being thrown into a world that, imagine, has so many different types of creatures: orcs, gremlins, elves, dwarves, and then the humans. And then the humans, you have the common people, the noble people, and so you get dumps every now and again, but it never feels like it's too much. And I personally like that style where you're just thrust into the world. No preparation, just be thrown in and explain to me as we go. That's kind of how it is in the first book. After that, it's very easy to grasp because you're already explained everything. But I felt that that was done really well, and I never had an issue. Like, I was never really confused, that's for sure. And sometimes, especially with something like this that has complications, you know, the summoners can do spells and all these other things, it never felt overwhelming. I thought it was perfectly done, very well explained, and I absolutely just really loved that I was able to just like focus on all the other things because that was going to be handed to me on a silver platter. The writing, like I mentioned, is very, very good. I loved it. I liked the way the like dialogue was, the descriptions of places and of like the food, which is not something you really get often, but it's there, and I loved it because it felt like you're there with these people. And I think every little thing like that, like all of my senses were pretty much filled. The only thing I didn't imagine was how stinky the orcs were. But I felt like because all of that was there and apparent and just kind of, again, handed to you, it was so easy to just kind of fall into this world and see everything, feel for these people, be mad when you needed to be. And it was amazing. I loved the school, and I thought the school was really awesome. I don't read a whole lot of books where people have to go to like academies or schools, which is why they also compared Harry Potter occasionally, because, you know, the Wizarding School, the Summoner School, because only summoners go there. And I really loved that setting. I liked how everything was just like explained. It could have honestly been longer to me, and I would have loved it because I did not want this to end. At the very end of the book, you have a like glossary of the demons that they have mentioned throughout. I thought that was gonna fall throughout that book. And it also says what level the demon is and who that demon belongs to, because you have many summoners. So you have Fletcher, and then you have his friends Othello and Silva and all these other things. So it lets you know demon, person the demon goes to, and what level the demon is, and like their characteristics and stuff. So if you're having trouble keeping up with it, you can always just flip to the back of the book, which I also thought was a nice touch because this is a new thing. They should describe it, and Taryn did. So thank you very much for that. I don't know what else to say for the non-spoilery section. I marathoned it, and it was the best thing ever. And because all three are out, you can too. Again, I will leave the links down below. But I felt this was just done so well. My emotions are still raw from the ending. Another thing that I also really enjoyed before I kind of talk about spoilery stuff is romance like this, okay? That makes me really happy because I feel like if there was a romance in this, which there's a ship and there's like, you could see that there's things, but it never takes away from the story. So I really enjoy that. You guys already know that I don't mind romance, but when it takes away from a story, especially a story like this where you have all these different species and animals and all these things going on, a war, romance should be like the last thing on the mind. And it pretty much was. So I really loved that. But this tore me to pieces. If you have not read any of the books, do not continue. Even if you've read only the first one, I'm probably going to bring spoilers in from the second and third. So continue watching at your own like risk, your own like choice, okay? But I will be talking, and you guys know me, I very rarely talk cohesively about things that happen. I just talk. So let's start with all of the spoilers for all three books. When I talk about relationships, my favorite relationship, and I feel like it was just so good, was Othello and Fletcher. At the end of book 3, when it was like for a moment that I thought it was Othello, I promise you I was crying. Literal tears and just ugly crying. I was like, no, you did not just do that. That did not just happen. And even though it wasn't him, it didn't make it better knowing that it was Attila. I was still just as torn up because I was like, he came such a long way from where he began. Heartbreaking. My heart broke for Rory and Sir Caldron and Rotherham. I'm probably saying these names wrong, but I don't care. So like that's just what's really on the forefront of my mind also, like just right there, because I just finished it. So all of those deaths are still there in my head, and it broke me to pieces. I cannot wait to see Arturus's like kind of like origin story. I am so living for that. I cannot wait. I was surprised also, let's just jump around, when Fletcher was revealed that he was actually a noble, but like the Raleigh and like Sir Calder, I was so happy. Okay, but one thing that I did know was that Ignatius, him, the cute little demon, was gonna be a big demon. I just like knew it. I honestly did. I was like, he's like a dragon or something. He's gonna grow. The first time it really was there and it was kind of like obvious to me was when he was swimming around the lava just chilling, and he was like, he could feel like, you know, he was getting stronger and stuff. I was like, oh, you're gonna grow. You're gonna be badass. Because that tiny little thing couldn't like destroy everything, okay? Even though he was badass as fuck. I was so happy knowing that he was gonna be a dragon, and then that happened. I was living for it. My heart broke for Cress when Sheldon, I love the name she chose, by the way. When Sheldon died, I was like, no, I want her to have him. And when Fletcher was going to, like, in the second book, after he had been in prison for a year and the whole trial thing was going on, and then that stupid piece of shit Rook comes in and is like, oh, I have counts of treason or whatever it was. I was so happy, and also crying at that moment when Fletcher was gonna be like, yeah, I will commit to it. Othello has nothing to do. Fletcher. Like, that just, it was amazing. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, the relationships between everyone just broke my heart, and I love Jeffrey. I was actually very surprised that it was Jeffrey. I was leaning more towards Cress. I thought Cress was the one that had been attempting to kill Fletcher the entire time. But no, it was fucking Jeffrey. And I'm glad he's dead. I am so happy that, I mean, I feel really bad for Rufus. That sucks. But I'm so happy, also because he died, that was freaking Fletcher's mom. And let's talk a little more about Fletcher. I love Fletcher as a character. He is, like, innocent in terms of, like, he believes people have a lot of, like, he trusts people. But I feel like that also helps him, because when he saved Blue, look at that. The gremlins were there for them. They helped. They took them to the pyramid. I love the gremlins. I want a little Blue and Ignatius and an Athena all to myself, okay? I really do. I also hope, though, that after Arcturus' story, there's maybe a spin-off continuing with the war with the orcs, but maybe from someone else's point of view. I would totally be down for that. I'm happy Diedrich's gone. He was a piece of shit and he pissed me the fuck off in, like, the best way possible, because I still really liked his character even though I hated him. Like, I don't like him at all. I hated him, but I'm happy he pretty much just got what he deserved. Like, there's just so much I don't even know what to talk about, but it's so much. Oh, and I was also secretly hoping that maybe Fletcher would have been able to keep Attila's demon, but that didn't happen. I really wanted, oh my god, I tell you, like, that really hurt me. That battle was horrible. And then when they saw Rory, I was like, no, like, you guys just, like, you know, he'd only been there for what, like 2 months, you know, with Raleigh and stuff. And I was like, he just forgave you for almost killing Malachi, and now he's dead. And I'm just like, why? And there was a period of time throughout the last book where I thought King Harold actually was maybe being sneaky. No, he wasn't. But there was just certain things that I got, like, very worried about him at a certain point. But thankfully, he is a good person, and I'm rooting. But wait, isn't he married? Does King Harold have a wife? That's how important or mentioned she was. I already forgot. But if he doesn't, but also I'm kind of hoping that maybe Burden and his mama get together. That would be awesome, because he raised Fletcher. Like, that's like his dad. And since his dad's passed, mama came home. They could be together. That would be amazing. And I really do hope that Fletcher and Silva fucking get together in the future if there is a continuation, because I want them to be together. I love that it was just so, like, sly in the beginning, and I was like, I shipped him even before they kissed the first time. And it was like, oh, okay. It's like, you know what I like? I just love that it was never this overwhelming amount of, like, oh my god, I love her. No, it was, he felt feelings for her. You could tell she felt for him, but, like, they just knew it wouldn't work. And with everything going on, it's not like they could really think about it either way. But I just adored this trilogy so much. I really, 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 really did. I cannot wait for the next book. I am super excited. But also, like, not because it's going to be emotional. I'm hoping it also talks about the battle of, like, the Raleigh and the orcs and the betrayals that Zacharias did. The pain a heart feels. Oh my god. And then, like, I just loved it so much. Again, I loved the people, and when they were loyal, they were fucking loyal, dude. Like, I just loved it so much. But that's all I'm going to talk about it. So what are your favorite parts of the series? What are you like looking forward to for Arcturus' story? Comment down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.